Okay, guys, so I also had some questions and concerns from people about the Delta Math assignment. One of the things we were going to start doing over the course of the week was we were going to be upping the complexity. You know me, I like to let you get the basic skill down first, and then we up the difficulty. This Delta Math stuff is not as bad as it seems. It looks scary, I'll grant you that. Looks weird, totally give you that. But it is not as terrible as it seems. So I'm going to just minimize down and go through a few examples of each. So here I am in the corner now. Hi. So we're going to look first at multiplying powers. Now guys, this is not as bad as it looks. You need to remember what like terms are and what like things are. Numbers play with numbers and variables will play with the same variable. Think about it. If we're working with bases here, I can't have things with different bases. So I'm going to real quick snag my problem. So bloop, there's the problem I just snagged off Delta Math. So first things first, in this problem, I'm just going to look at what I have. I don't have any numbers out here, but there's a number in here. So if I had a number out here, we would just pretend it's 1. 1 times 7 is 7, so a 7 would be part of my answer. Boop, 7. Next thing I'm going to look at. Okay, next thing, x. I want to find what has the same base as that. There's an x here. Okay, my first x was squared. My second x is in here with no exponent, so it's a 1. And I didn't stress this at first, I'm sorry I didn't say it, but we're multiplying. These things are multiplying. So x squared times x to the first is x, this is a really terrible x, to the third. And then I have, hey, here's a y to the fourth. Again, this y will have an exponent of 1. I'll multiply them. The y times y to the fourth is going to give me a y to the fifth. So go to my answer here. I'm going to type 7y to the fifth. Oop, and I left out x to the third. So x to the third. That's my answer. Oop. Do you want to submit this answer? Yes. Done. Beautiful. It loves me. Now, I'll mark through another one, and I'm going to catch what someone probably just saw, and I didn't tell you how I did it. So, again, stealing the problem stolen, boop, bloop, jorp. And guys, you can see I'm just doing these right now, right here. I'm not pre-picking these problems, just Delta Math gives me a new one like it would you when I'm doing it. So first thing, on the outside I have a number, on the inside I have a number. 9 times negative 16. A positive times a negative is a negative. Write that down. 9 times 16 is going to be 144. Pettingale, how'd you do that so fast? 10 times 16 is 160, so I just did 160 minus 16. And that told me what 9/16s were. That's 144. So, next one up. X squared. There's an x squared in here. These things are like x squared times x squared. We're going to still have our base of x. We don't change that. And we have, oops, not a squared. 2 plus 2, it's going to be a 4. Boop, 4. Next one up. Y to the second, y to the third. Base doesn't change. I keep my y. I have an exponent of 5. So here you have it. Boom. That's it. Negative 144. I hit the X key. Now, here's the part I didn't tell you. How do I make an exponent? Because if I just hit 4, it's a 4. No. What's that button do? Oh, hey, there's a button down. So this button here, like I didn't even know what this did. You heard me say, what does that button do? Here, it'll move me so I'm out more of the way. It's a little keyboard of options. There's this A to the B button right here. If I'm right about what it does, I should be able to click it and make any exponent I want. Let's see. Click. Made an exponent. Ding. If I were to type y though, y is in the exponent. So I would just tap my right arrow key to get out of the exponent. Like you can see the cursor blinking. Like look at the cursor, guys. Yeah, see, look at the cursor up there. It's blinking. It's not in the exponent. A moment ago, see, now it's in the exponent. So this, I just tap the right key, I'm out of the exponent, and I can hit Y. If you don't want to click this to bring it up, if you look on your keyboard on the 6 button, there's a little up arrow. The up arrow on your 6 button. So terrible 6 button here. 6 button. The little arrow that looks like that. That is a pretty universal symbol for to the power of. So if you have to type an exponent on a keyboard, you usually use that symbol. So I just automatically hit shift in the 6 button, and you now can see my cursor's blinking above the Y where the exponent would go. Cool. Type a 5, it's good, it's beautiful. Submit my answer. Done. That's it. The big thing to note, guys, we've been doing problems one at a time. We weren't doing exponents, we were just doing different bases. But there's no difference between having a base of like a 15 and a base of x. You just saw. The base stayed the same, and we added the exponents. No big deal. So like this up here was kind of like 3 problems at once. This down here is kind of also like 3 problems at once. Not a huge challenge. So one last multiplication problem, and then we're bouncing to the next topic. Boom. Fully simplify. Okay. So I'm gonna copy and paste and steal. Boop. Copy, paste. Make it bigger. Okay. It's bigger now. 16, 2. These are numbers. Guys, and remember, there's no exponents involved here, so it's just 16 times 2. That's 32. Ugh, that's a terrible 2. That's a less terrible. Not good, just less terrible. Next, I'm looking at my x to the 4th. I have an x in here. They're x's, they're like, same base. 4 and 2 is going to give me an exponent of 6. No y's on the outside, but there's a y on the inside. I can't just ignore it, so I'm going to use the y on the inside. Boop, y. So just 32, x to the 6th, y. Oop, oop. If you take a moment, look at my answer. Why is there a mistake in it? What's the mistake in the answer? Do. Okay, you had a moment. You could have paused. You had all the time you ever wanted. It's because I didn't leave the exponent. Right now my y is in the exponent. Oops. Delete that. Remember, just tap the right arrow key. I'm popped out of the exponent. You can now see it's blinking in the right spot. I hit Y. I hit submit. It's good. Yay, I made it through 3 in a row without messing anything up. So I'm going to go back. The other thing is dividing powers. So guys, loop, you're going to see, same thing, still in the problem. Dividing powers. Well, what's 4 divided by 4? I'm just looking at my numbers first. That's going to give me a 1. Oop. X to the 6th over x. Well, x to the 6th over x, that's going to be minusing our exponents. 6 minus 1 is 5. So I want to leave an x to the 5th, but it is in a numerator. So it is possible we could have something left in the denominator. So just be aware I'm still in the numerator. And y to the 8 over y to the 7. Well, that's going to be y to the 8 minus 7, or y to the 1. So reality, I don't need this fraction. I don't need that 1. I can just say it's x to the 5th, y. Oops, I didn't leave the exponent again. Y. Submit answer. Yes, I want that to be my answer. Yay. New problem. Okay. You guys can see this one will be a little different. Boop. Snagged it. Dropped it. Moved it. Blew it up. Alright. 8 over 4 is 2. X to the 6th over x to the 1st is x to the 5th. X or y to the 8th over y to the 6th is y to the 2nd. That's it. Nothing scary. All of these numbers would have stayed in the top part of the fraction because they were all in the bigger ones. Like if, for example, we had swapped it around, if like the y to the 8 was on the bottom, then it would have stayed there. I'll see if I can find an example real quick before we move on. But that's just 2x to the 5th, y to the 2nd. Submit my answer. Yes, that's my answer. Delta Math says, yay, I'm good. Taking a quick glance. Okay, so here's the thing I wanted to point out. So pretty standard stuff like we were just doing a minute ago. 9 and 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. X to the 2nd over x to the 2nd. Well, that's going to be x to the 2 minus 2, x to the 0. You can write down x to the 0 if you want, but remember that'll turn into a 1 and it'll basically just be canceled. Here's the bit I was talking about a minute ago though. Y to the 5th over y to the 7th. Now, depending on how you guys want to go about it, you can think of this as y to the 5 minus 2 is y to the negative 2, which means it'll go, like you'd then have it as division, so it would move to a denominator. Or you could just go, hey, the bigger y is down here, so I'm just going to keep my y in the bottom of the fraction. That's a really bigger denominator bar, or fraction bar than I wanted. And there's 5 up here, there's 2 down here. If you guys remember like the canceling example I used in class, I'm not going to write it all out. Like if we think about the canceling example from class, come on, zoop. I would just cancel, and oh hey, there's y left on the bottom. In this case, it's, so y to the 2nd would have been left on the bottom. So here, I don't see any funky handy buttons for making a fraction, so I'm just going to wind up with 3. I'm going to hit that little slash key, like, yeah, cool. So I just hit on the keyboard, the key looks like this. There's a slash on a number pad, it's above the 8. Hang on. Yeah, it's the same symbol that's on the question mark on your standard keyboard. So it's like the question mark and the slash. So I have a 3 in my numerator times x to the 0, that's 1, so it's just 3. My denominator is going to be y to the 2nd. Submit my answer. Yes, beautiful. Okay guys, I didn't mean to spend 15 minutes on these almost. I'm using free software that limits me to 15 minutes, so there will be a part 2 where we look at raising powers to the powers real quick. And this one will actually be kind of straightforward. So see you in moments.